Hello, welcome to Rocky Biochem series. Please, if this is your first time of visiting my channel, kindly do well to subscribe for me and also click the notification button to be notified of my other videos. Thank you very much as you are doing so. So what I thought is a research proposal. Before I start, when it comes to project work, or thesis writing, especially for the undergrads, it normally takes 2 semesters to complete, and prior to starting the actual research work, the students must go through the proposal writing stage to develop their proposal and have it to be reviewed by the supervisor before the actual research work will be kick-started. So in this video, I'm going to highlight some key components of a research proposal as far as the first session, and then the subsequent session will talk about the actual format of a research proposal. So please kindly do well to watch this video to the end. So a research proposal is just a concise summary of your proposed project work. So the research that you want to carry out, you have to give us a concise summary of the whole work, and this is what a research proposal is. So research proposal gives an outline of your plan for the project. It gives an outline of your plan for the project. Plan am I talking about? The plan addresses 3 main questions. So the plan of the research should be able to address this question, that is what you know. It should be able to let us know what you, the researcher, you know about the field that you are carrying out the research within. So if, let's say, you are carrying out a research work in a field of immunology, you should be able to give us some brief overview for us to know that you are on top of that particular field. And also, your plan must address this question: where you want to go. So the where you want to go is like you have understood the field and now you want to build on the existing knowledge to reach somewhere. So that is where the question where you want to go comes in. And then the last thing is, how are you going to get there? So the how are you going to get there normally encompass the methodology of the research work. So the methodology will give an outline or the experimental procedures that you have to follow before you achieve the objectives. Typical research proposal should have some components, and I'm going to talk about these 3 components that a typical research proposal must contain. So the first thing that a typical research proposal must contain is the issue. So the issue is the problem at hand. In other words, the problem that your research seeks to address. And then the research proposal should also capture the research design. That is, how will the research achieve its objectives? So the methodology, it is through the methodology that's an outline of how the research will be able to achieve its objective written down. So your research proposal should include this section, that is the research design. And lastly, your research proposal should also include the benefits of the proposed research. You can't just wake up and then decide to carry out any work at all. Before you carry out any research work, you should be able to sit down and then think about the potential benefit from that particular research. So if you think that if you're unable to get any benefit from that particular research, I think it is not worth doing. Let's get started with the formats of a typical research proposal. I'm going to take you through the formats of a typical research proposal. So a typical research proposal should include the title. You have the background, the problem statements, the aim and then objectives, methodology, and then the justification, and then lastly the reference list. All these are the formats of a typical research proposal. So I'm going to pick each of them one by one and then talk briefly about it. Let me start with the title. So the title is like a GPS address that is navigating you to a particular location. So the title of the research proposal is what guides you throughout the entire research work. And the title should be clear and then concise enough. Refrain from the use of complex and then ambiguous titles. So after the title, the next thing is the background. So the background provides a description of the basic facts and then importance of the research area. So the background normally asks these questions: what is your research area? What is your motivation about the research? And how important is your research for that? And how important is that research that you want to carry out? Is it going to help in knowledge advancement? You have to ask yourself all these questions. And normally when it comes to background writing, we provide some statistics and then some statistics about the prevalence rates and then the general epidemiology. So if, let's say, you want to carry out a research work on a disease like diabetes mellitus, it is very relevant to capture the global prevalence rate in your background, as well as some potential risk factors and some potential treatment strategies in your background. So the background is very important. It shows that you know something about a field whereby you are carrying out your research within. So after the background, the next thing that I will talk about is the problem statement. So the problem statement provides a clear and then concise description of the issue that needs to be addressed. So this is just a short statement about the problem that is at hand. You have to give us a short statement about the problem that is at hand and purpose also the problem statement. So the problem statement has some purpose. So some of the purposes include the blueprint for your literature review. So the problem statements will guide you when it comes to your literature review. It will prevent you from searching unnecessary literature. It guides you and then make you search literature that is pertaining to the current work. And also it keeps you on track throughout your proposal writing. So I'm going to give you a typical sample, a typical example of a research proposal, a research problem statement. So this is a typical example of a research problem statement. Lymphatic filariasis remain a devastating infectious disorder, particularly in the tropics. One reason is that the parasite causing the disease is resistant to all clinically useful antiparasitic drugs. We therefore have to devise alternative strategies to target the parasite. So we see the problem at hand is that the parasite causing LF, that is lymphatic filariasis, have developed resistance against the drugs. This is a problem. So it means that this current work needs to devise alternative strategy to target the parasite. This is how we write a problem statement. You talk about what is at hand and you attach something briefly about what the current work seeks to address. Now let's move on to the aims and then the objectives. So the aims and objectives section here answers the question like the purpose of the research. We talk about the purpose of this particular research. So let us know the purpose of the research that you are carrying out, and it is at this session that we include this particular information. So it gives a list of goals that will be achieved through the proposed research. So normally we break down the aims and objectives into two sessions. We have the main aims, that is general statements of intent. And then the specific aims has to do with a breakdown of your aims into smaller and then specific parts. In my undergrad study, I carried out a research work by investigating the factors affecting fasting plasma glucose levels of type 2 diabetes mellitus patients. So this particular statement becomes my main aim. My main aim was to investigate the factors affecting fasting plasma glucose levels of type 2 diabetes mellitus patients. But for my specific aims, I broke down this particular main aim into specific parts. So the first one was to investigate the effect of BMI on fasting plasma glucose levels of type 2 diabetes mellitus patients, and the another one was to investigate the effect of gender on the fasting plasma glucose levels of type 2 diabetes mellitus patients, and then the other factors as well, their individual effects on fasting plasma glucose levels of type 2 diabetes mellitus patients. So as we can see, the aim was broad, but I broke it down into smaller and then specific parts. So those smaller ones become your specific aims. Now let's talk about the justification. The justification section here talks about why you think that your research is worth doing. What makes you think that your research is relevant and you should be able to, and you should be allowed to do that particular research. So in this session, the benefit of your research, that is what your research brings. We normally outline all these things in this particular session. The justification talks about why you think that the research you want to pursue is worth doing. So you highlight the benefits that the research seeks to bring, and also contributing to existing knowledge. You should also let us know that the work that you are going to do will also contribute to the existing knowledge. All these things should be captured in the justification section. Normally it is about 5 to 6 lines. You don't write plenty things under this session. You yourself try, it's just a matter of you yourself trying to let us know why you think that you should be allowed to carry out your research. Now for the methodology, this session here has multiple parts. The methodology section is very important because it defines the research methods and then the logic behind the steps. So it also shows what to do and how to solve the problem and achieve your proposed objectives. So writing a very good methodology shows that you'll be able to accomplish your objective, because it serves as a landmark to reach your destination. So some of the parts of methodology include instrumentation and then infrastructure. So if your research will involve labs whereby you will be carrying out some experiments, you have to talk about your instrumentation as well as part of your methodology, and also your study groups and then ethics should also be captured in your methodology session. So the study group has to do with the population that you are targeting. The population that you are targeting, are you targeting a school-going population, or you are targeting patients in a particular hospital? They should be captured here. And even after selecting the particular population you want to use, you should be able to also let us know the actual sampling technique that you will use to get your samples for the studies. So for the sampling, we can talk about different sampling techniques, and most of the common ones include random sampling and then convenient sampling. When we talk about random sampling, we are talking about a situation whereby each person in the population has equal chance of being selected. But for convenient sampling, you are just selecting a particular group. You are just selecting a particular group to work on them, and that number is not a true reflection of the population size. And normally we do convenient sampling when we have limited resources or when we have limited time to accomplish the project work. So your data analysis in addition should also be included in your methodology session. Let us know the statistical package that you will use. So let's say you are going to use SPSS version 25. Don't just mention that I'm going to use SPSS version 25 and go. You have to also include the actual package within the SPSS that you'll be using for your analysis. Are you going to do correlation? Are you going to do regression? Are you going to use chi-square or whatever? Let us know all this as part of your methodology. Least I forgot, the ethics should also be parts. And when I talk about ethics here, ethics has to do with when you are doing research work involving human beings, you need to get ethical consideration. Your work has to meet ethical consideration. We normally seek ethical consideration from the Committee for Human Research and then Publication Ethics from your university. We have a committee in every university that controls all these ethical issues. So you need to get an approved documentation from them before you even start your sample collection. And then there are some importance of methodology, like importance of writing your materials and method. The materials and method shows that you really understand the principles involved in carrying out the research, and also it shows that the proposed research is feasible. So when you're unable to write a good methodology, it means that the work itself is not feasible. Whatever statement that you made that you think is not, it is not yours, you need to reference the source, and that is why referencing is very, very important here. So for the referencing, there are many softwares that you can use for your referencing. You can use Mendeley or you can use EndNotes for your referencing. I would do a video to explain how Mendeley software is used for referencing, as well as how EndNotes is also used for referencing. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please don't forget to subscribe. See you another time.